This is as groovy as it gets.
Oprah, Can You Hear Me? Oprah vs. Donald 2020 is a conversation by Julie Benetti and Susan Barbaro and a production of EI Alliance, copyright 2019. America is courtesy of New Threads off their new album, Felonious Wilma. Hi, this is Julie, and I am here with Susan. And, I gotta say, I always think, all right, this is the last Oprah podcast we're doing until she makes some big announcement. And it's like that Godfather scene. The minute you think you're out, they pull me back in. And so this one, you're coming in completely cold on.
Yeah,
I don't even know what the topic is.
I don't.
And I haven't even mentioned what it is yet.
No, I literally walked in and I didn't even get a hello in. And she's like, don't talk! So
you have us right here, podcast listeners, at the most rawest basis of this energy. And we're just going to dive right in and take you with us. And so I'm going to set it up a little bit because I want to share how the energy works, because we're energy people. We work with energy. We talk about this all the time. We have 4 podcasts that y'all should be listening to that are awesome, based in energy. And I'm not saying that because I'm here recording. I'm saying that because I know the space we go into. And we love the space we go into. It's intense and it's fun, and people love to be around it and around us in that space.
Can I say one thing on that? Because it's funny, because I was thinking about a lot of different things this morning, and it came into my mind was Tesla, and people talk about, people have all these theories as to where Tesla got his ideas, and some of them say that aliens talk to. And we're laughing because it sounds funny to hear it, but we don't know where he got it from.
Right.
And I thought it was funny because people sit back and they think, wow, why did the aliens pick Tesla to talk to? And then, of course, after a few minutes, I thought to myself, well, the alien, and I'm just going using aliens as a general term, that maybe it wasn't a case of Tesla was, the aliens didn't come to Tesla, that Tesla simply opened up to the idea of communicating with what we call energy.
Right.
And of course, what you do when you communicate with it is, everyone's got different ideas. He went into his brilliance of, electricity, which is, what we always talk about going in, because, of course, that's a form of energy.
Right.
And so to what you're saying, it's interesting because you're right. When we do these podcasts, we just go in the energy. And it's interesting for whoever's out there, this is an opportunity for you to just be open to the energy, to listen with an open mind and see what comes, because it's an interesting space.
Right. And there's no planning involved. We don't sit down. We don't have a group of people saying you have to talk about this.
No.
We're just flying with the energy. And here's the backstory to this, and you can tell how the energy works. And so yesterday I headed over to the library to pick up a book that you recommended that came in. It was reserved, and as a writer, I love libraries, and you don't have to be a writer to love libraries. Anyway, that's my public service announcement. So I'm there in the library, and I'm thinking, okay, I got the book. What else can I get? But I got a bunch of other things to do, and I could stay here all day. And I headed over, and my husband's a native New Yorker. He's from Brooklyn, New York. So I always, I pick up some Discover magazines for the science, and he likes to read it too, and I picked up the New Yorker.
Oh, yeah.
And I usually kind of skim through it before I give it to him. And I picked up the last couple of issues from April 2019, and here's where the energy took me. And so I will admit, I kind of go through and see if I can get, because if you listen to any podcast, I'm a huge Seinfeld fan. And there was an episode with Elaine and the cartoons in the New Yorker. And I quickly skimmed through to look at the cartoons. Well, something caught my eye. And for some reason, I started reading this article, and it's from the April 1st, 2019, the New Yorker issue. And it's the world of fashion. And I mainly dress in black just because I like to. So fashion, my mom's really into fashion. I'm not so much. My sister, you are. I'm not so much to that degree. I'm just kind of comfortable, whatever, outdoorsy. And so the article is The World of Fashion, Just Be Yourself, The Rise of Carla Welch, the Stylist to Celebrities. And it's by Naomi Fry. And I kind of was captured by the article, not because of the title or anything. And it's funny because I just looked at it now and I said, oh, how appropriate. Just be yourself.
That's what I noticed.
But what struck me about the article, and you're looking at it too, it's on page 28, because you don't know anything about this. But
I don't even have my glasses on, so I can't even read it.
Well, she kind of looks like Winona Ryder.
Oh.
So I'm looking and going, she kind of looks like Winona Ryder. And sorry to Carla Welch, that could be a plus or minus or whatever. But anyway, that's not the point. So that kind of drew my attention as I was kind of perusing, really kind of looking at the cartoons. And so as I was reading it, I don't know why, I just started reading it, and it's about fashion. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But somehow she's this person, Carla Welch is in the energy, and Naomi Fry does a really good job about, talking about it in her article. And so I'm not even like a halfway through the article, and I thought, I wonder if Oprah's in here. It just popped in my head. And the wildest thing occurred right on the second page of the article. And here is the paragraph, which I'm going to read, because listen to this. This is amazing. Okay, so now Naomi Fry is saying, recently, Carla Welch styled Anita Hill in a black velvet gown from The Vampire's Wife for an Oscars party, and Oprah for In Style. An experience that she compared to seeing Pope John Paul II when she was 11. And this is what Carla Welch says about
Oprah?
Seeing Oprah.
She compared
yes.
to? Wow.
This is what Carla Welch says. This is the quote, okay? So you and I always go, we've never met Donald Trump, President Trump. We've never met Oprah. We don't know. We're just talking in the energy. And so the funny thing about this paragraph to start is, I mentioned the Oscar project I was working on.
Actually, I heard something this morning. I heard something on the radio about the Oscars, and I didn't hear it all, but I heard the end, and I was like, oh, funny, because you're working.
And see how the energy works? That's another example. And we were talking about Anita Hill.
Yes.
And another podcast, okay? And, of course, it's talking about Oprah. And here is the quote that Carla Welch says, okay? She says, Oprah projected something so spiritual, Welch told me, of Winfrey. I was like, oh my God, lead a cult, lead something. Okay, and then the little quote from the paragraph goes on. For a moment, Welch seemed about to cry. And there's a swear in here, but I'm not going to make it, a rated podcast. And the quote is, she is on a pedestal that she effing owns. I guess it's self-realization.
Wow.
And so the energy of that, I just stopped. And I said, all right, let me read the rest of the article because it was interesting. I was interested about the continual energy. But I almost shot a screenshot of it and texted it to you, but I didn't want to ruin. I wanted you to be right in the energy of it. Because what I want to talk about is Oprah and spirituality, okay? And I'm trekking down a little fine line here because I want to say, I always tell you this story. Back in the, 80s or 90s, when Howard Stern had his great talk show on the radio, I remember driving in my car to an old apartment. I was coming back late at work, and I'll admit, I never really listened to it because it was more like boy high school humor, and I wasn't really into it. For some reason, I happened to find nothing else on the radio, found Howard Stern, and he was talking about Alex Trebek of Jeopardy fame. And he was talking about how Alex Trebek was asked about somebody, and he was quoted saying, yeah, I think that person's a fairly intelligent person. And Howard Stern, who is brilliant, he is brilliant, okay, whatever you want to say.
Neurotic, but
yes,
but
brilliant. He says, so Alex Trebek, why does his opinion matter? Because he's on a game show and he reads questions? And why is his judgment of someone's intellectuality important? What does it even matter? Who is he? We don't know what is, Howard Stern didn't say,
right, just because he gives hard questions and people answer, it doesn't mean he knows the answers, that he's checking what they're saying. He's just asking a question.
Exactly. I would say, well, you don't know what his SAT scores were. Who knows? He could be a Mensa. Who knows? But I thought it was brilliant of what Howard Stern says, because so many times we just take someone's soundbite who comments on someone else and says, huh? And so the reason why I bring up that little story is because we work in energy. We're very spiritual. Whatever that means, that can mean whatever it means to anyone. We're always working in energy, and we're always conscious, of who we are, who we're being, and what we're doing. And so when I say that and I bring up this podcast about Oprah and spirituality, it's not to judge her spirituality. It's not to do any of that. But it's to bring out that isn't that not even just ironic, but feel how the energy of it, the name of the article is Just Be Yourself.
I know. So that's where you always say this to me when it's notorious that you and I will think about something or do something, and it's kind of quiet and the lowdown, and all of a sudden you hear some big celebrity started to do something, and I'm like, are you kidding me? That's always my line. Are you kidding me? We've been doing this. And, but then you always turn it around and say, well, that means the energy is really aligning with where we are. It's actually helping us. It's not working against us, which I used to always think, oh, God, it's like, why is this happening? And you always say it that, well, it's the energy aligning. So again, I don't have my glasses on, so she didn't give me 5 minutes to get my glasses. Nope. I could read because the words were bigger, Just Be Yourself. That's the only thing I could read. You're pointing to the magazine, and to me, it's still kind of, I can't really read it. But it would be interesting that, of course, Oprah is tapped into something, and the key thing I think is she doesn't know what to do with it. Because that's what sometimes I even say with certain things. And I'm not saying I'm like Oprah, but I think I'm like most people out there. I don't think I'm an anomaly. I don't think I'm any different. Everyone has their way about doing things. But I don't think I'm any different than anyone else. And it's, what do you do with this?
And that's good for you to say, because we bring up that Mel Brooks quote that you always like to say, where he has all this energy, all this creativity. What do I do with this?
Yeah.
What do I do with this? And sometimes you may feel that. And it's funny. Sometimes you go out and you get a card for someone, or you smile at someone, or you have a nice conversation, or you make someone's day, or you do something for yourself. You do some self-care, or you do something like that. But still, oftentimes there's so much of it that you say, what do I do with this? And what do I do with this energy? And, we always go in these conversations where, okay, yes, everyone's physical, everyone's energetic, and yet, in their own way, everyone is spiritual.
Right.
And I think what you said about, like, what do you do with this? So I started, for some reason, on our Instagram feed, because we have an Instagram account, Oprah came up, and so I said, okay, and she had like a little video, and I was like, oh, okay, I've never seen one of these, and she was at some award thing. I think she had gotten an award, and she was there with people, and she was... I think Selena Gomez was there. I'm sorry, I don't remember which award it was. She was there. I was just focused on the Oscars. She was there with people, and some of the people, she was standing there, and they were, taking a picture of everyone together, and she was meeting them individually, and some of them almost fainted because they were meeting her, and they were like, oh my God, crying because it's Oprah. And, you bring up a really good point when you said that, kind of when you get to this level, and I don't want to call it celebrity, because the basic everyday person can just have this energy that, whether they become, I want to go here, they become ministers, or they do whatever they want to do with it, or they become, first responders, they become, so the basic person wonders, and not that we're all basic person, but I'm trying to just say, in celebrity, it's funny when you said, we have this idea. Well, we don't have paparazzi around us 24/7. Otherwise, they'd be like, "What's your idea?"
Right.
And it would be out there.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's another thing. Just being an everyday normal person. And it's funny how a lot of celebrities say, "I just want to have a normal life. I just want to be a normal person." Yet, in the realm of looking at Oprah and spirituality, that's intriguing to me. And I'm swinging back to my point, which is, when you have so much like that you actually, you're meeting people, and they kind of, everyday people are like crying and very emotional, and they just feel how intense it is. It's like meeting the Pope, as per this quote. Isn't there another level you want to go to? Not to be the guru. I mean, it was funny that in this article, she should lead something. She should do something, oh my gosh, she has such intensity that this exudes from her. And, I want to also bring up the fact that, we've all heard stories of political people. I don't want to say who. Sometimes they're men where I've had friends that have done, catering, and they've run into big political people that, oh my God, they're so charismatic. We're not talking charismatic. Well, we're talking about genuine, authentic, just oozing who you are.
Well, I think that all of us come in this world with until you're embedded with all these other ideas, your basic goal is, that we're all connected, and everybody, I think, wants to be good. We want to help each other. We're each moving ourselves on the same track to a degree. And I think what I think you get to a point where you can't do enough. It almost becomes dysfunctional. Now it's like, oh, I could do more, I could do more, I could do more, I could do more. And it actually becomes like a never-ending thing that you're chasing, a goal that you're chasing that just keeps changing, and it becomes dysfunctional. Or you get to a point where you realize that by helping others, and this is a huge thing for me, is you really need to be the example of really fully helping yourself and showing others how to do it, because we can be supportive of each other, and we can be, we try to motivate and help, but you can't do it for someone else. And I would hope that Oprah at this point might realize that the dysfunction surrounding self-help can bring you down. Like I said, you're on the gerbil wheel that you just keep going around and round. And there's a point in time where, you realize that really doesn't help people, because if you get caught up in that wheel, well, everybody who's, quote, following you or looking for you to mentor, and not that she asked for it, but they get caught in that same gerbil wheel. It's not enough. We got to learn, someone else says, I need it. You get caught up in the aha moment.
Right.
And I would think for her, she's all on that in a grander level. And, we keep saying it does, in my mind, leads to the same thing, as by being the example of like, okay, I need to get off the self-help wheel and really just be yourself, which is what the title of the article is.
Right.
And I would just think that, if you're around her, and not that I want to keep, regurgitating, we haven't been around her, but I have to believe you feel this a sense of depth. There's certain people that you are around that there's a sense of depth to them. I don't know how else to call it.
Right.
And you feel it, and there's a warmth, there's a sense. Someone once described it as safe. It's like a safety, and that of course relates to outside. How else do you define safe? As being comfortable and at home and at peace, other than this person would describe it as safe.
Right.
And when you're around that, it does come down to there's a whole lot more, because most people don't have that ability to just be themselves despite whatever's going on.
Right. And I think you bring up a lot of good points. And I think, one of the major questions here is, how do you really want to project your spirituality in reality out there? I mean, how do you really, and it's not my business, it's your own business, how you want to do that. And from the standpoint, I would wonder, wouldn't Oprah want to raise the volume on what her resources and what she can ascertain and how much more she can project it? And, when I say this, I throw it back at myself.
Right.
I keep thinking, how can I raise the volume?
So, when you say spirituality, I just heard this. And again, I'm just coming in. I hear spirituality is just being yourself. The more you are you, the more spiritual you are. The more, because the core of, I don't want to say 100% of us, because I don't know 100% of the people, and I don't know these people that have committed crimes. I do believe 99% of us really want to do the right thing. We want to help each other. We want to take care of ourselves. We want to take care of others. We want to do this. And by being ourselves wholly and saying, so what if someone comes in and says, you this or that, and you're this, or it's like, so what? I'm myself. And geez, that to me is the greatest respect towards spirituality
And to yourself.
by default. But
Right.
even if you go into being spirituals, that's the highest form of respect
Yes.
to spirituality, is to find out who you are and being that person 100% of the time.
Right. And that's huge. And when you continuously do that and you move in that energy, it kind of goes along with the beginning of the podcast, because moving in this energy, this kind of came full circle to me. I didn't have any plan on picking up the April 1st issue of the New Yorker. I was going to pick up some.
Yeah.
I tried to get the most recent for my husband, but I didn't have any plan. And then to even read an article, sorry, sometimes I do. They're opinionated and stuff, and I do. Yet, to see this and then to even project and say, I wonder if Oprah's in it. And there she is. Boom.
So there you go. That's an interesting concept. Just the fact, and like you said, the more you start thinking about something, and, the more you try, because we all struggle with this about, being yourself and stepping out there and saying what you want to say.
Right.
And I don't mean bad-mouthing anyone. And I don't mean, because it's easy to go out and be critical. And I don't think of this as being, I hope it doesn't come across as being critical of Oprah. It's actually very supportive, and it's very endearing of Oprah, what we're saying. She can do more. That's ultimately the ultimate of our podcast, is you can do more.
And we feel like that, so we can say that because we feel like that ourselves.
Right.
We're not saying, hey, you all out there, you can do more.
Well, that's because
and Oprah
we
can
also,
do more.
that's
but
because we also got
feel it.
over the self-help.
Right, exactly.
And that's why we're
Exactly.
feeling we have worked through the idea of self-help, and we moved into empowering myself. It's not the whole self-help, I need help. It's more in, I am powerful, and I'm going to bring that powerful me forward. And that's why we're saying this to Oprah. And at the end of the day, really, if she has it in her, which, again, this article says she does, then maybe she will run for president. I don't know.
Maybe she will. And, again, this person, Naomi Fry interviewed Carla Welch. And Carla Welch is in the energy of everybody's clothes, which is really funny because, of course, I can take this. I'm a Libra. I can take it all the way to describe it. She's dressing the physical. And then she's right there in the moment of the physical and gets this huge energetic that leads right into the spiritual. That is so powerful. And when somebody gets that, and somebody, kind of reveals that to us, which is really great. Because, who would know? Because we surmised, of course, you could see in someone's actions. And there's no judgment here. There's no anything. It's just making connections with the energy and propelling all of us into this raising the volume on what we're doing with our spirituality. And as, this quote says, lead something, Oprah, lead something.
So that's the energy she picked up.
Yes.
So there you go. So that's where we always joke to each other, and we never usually put this on a podcast, but the minute we start saying something and feeling something and expressing it and moving with it, all of a sudden things start coming around to us that kind of align with it, which is, so why wouldn't you go into empowerment?
Exactly. And that's what it's about. Thank you for listening to this production from EI Alliance. Check out our Amazon authors pages for books and podcasts, along with our Donald Trump and Oprah books for this series. Find great music by New Threads on iTunes, Spotify, and on newthreads.us.